Hey everyone, it's Anahata. How are you? On this windy day here in Southwest Florida, my daughter is helping someone train for 30 minutes, and I thought I would take this opportunity to do a Deep Thoughts with Anahata session because I've just been getting a lot of downloads and insights and clarity since working with phototherapy. I have a patch on here. Maybe you can see it behind my ear. There's 3 specific phototherapy patches that you can wear for clarity and focus and to lift brain fog. And so when I tell you this works, it works. Not to mention the one at night that balances your natural melatonin levels and activates your pineal gland. So needless to say, this phototherapy has been giving me waves of clarity and insight that I wanted to share with you all. And rather than focusing on me, let's look at this amazing trail and let's go down a rabbit hole. Okay, I want to take you on this little adventure to just really explain the way I see things. Now look, I'm just like you. I'm figuring things out. I'm remembering things. Some of this may resonate with you completely. Some of it may not. And so I encourage you to rejoice in that, because it is your own qualia. It is your own somatic right to interpret whatever is happening in your environment as either your truth or not. And so I want to start out by saying, what if the 3D length, width, height, time world that we find ourselves in is a sort of simulation? Now, before you go, wait a minute, does that mean we're not real? That has nothing to do with it. Think of the avatar, right? You are the all at a cosmic level, having a experience in this 3D as a human, right? But you are not your body, you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions. And so you come into this avatar, this beautiful machine. It's not a machine, but an organic parameter suit that is just amazing, but it plays by the rules here. There's gravity, there's lots of things encoded into this dimension. One of them is time, right? Eventually your beautiful vehicle, your light vehicle, will come to its natural conclusion given its quote-unquote age, right? And that determines when the game essentially is over. And at that time, you'll go back to source and be back in that field of unlimited potential. So it is a very illusionary experience we have here. Hello. And so I want to chat with you about some of those inputs, some of those programmed inputs. Now you can call the game designer God, right? Or whatever your religion has to share that resonates with you. But one blade of grass can be accounted for in randomness, right? Darwin's theory is just so ridiculous at best, because one blade of grass would take more, billions more time than we've had for the entire planet to randomly occur, right? Someone said once that really resonated with me. It would be akin to a B-52 bomber simultaneously coming together randomly in the air in the length of time proportionate to taking off and landing. What? There's no way. There's no way. So if you don't think this is divinely orchestrated by an infinitely intelligent God, whatever you want to call it, then I'm sorry for you, because that's delusional. Of course God exists. And so there's parameters that were set up. And again, we don't need to get into semantics on, what it's called and what it is and where it is and all that. But I do know, based on the Bible, because I'm a non-denominational Christian, and by the way, the Bible is interesting because it transcends religion, because not only do all of the philosophies hold up, all of the stories in terms of morality and centeredness and distortion and the path to redemption and navigating the emotional map and all of the things that happen as a finite human in a limited bandwidth of reality. All of the things in the Bible have been proven to be, well, actually I should say, it should be truth until proven untruth, right? Because the history lines up, and all of the stories you can go and none of them are false, right? They're finding all of the evidence for all of the things that the Bible talks about historically. And so, whether you want to take it as ultimate truth or not, or perhaps it had been delivered to you in a fear-based way, which I do believe is just more distortion. So that's why I'm non-denominational. It's not a religious thing. It's a discovery thing. It's a mapping. It's like a what do you call it? User manual. It's like we've been dropped into these avatars in this game of life, and it's a helpful user manual. Now let's talk about some of the programmed components that I just talked about. There are rules, like gravity. I can't just fly unless that was encoded into my vehicle. Like, birds can fly. That's great for them. But, that's not possible in my coding. This tree, it's got a lot of cool encodings. One of them is not to speak with vocal cords, right? So you come in and you have certain parameters, the primary ones being length, width, and height, right? So everything can be measured in terms of this way, that way, up and down. And then time. Time is the big caveat. Time is isn't this a beautiful, there's lots of gators here, we've seen them, but I'm not in danger. But we can canoe down this. It's really primordial, this little landscape. I love it. It's really close to my house. In fact, if you go to my clubhouse, we have a canoe there, and we just drop in and we come down this creek. And there's something Jurassic about it. It's very interesting. Love coming on these trails. Anyways, so back to it. Length, width, height, time, right? So we only have a certain time and then game over. And if we look at life as a game, we can realize, everyone's destined for the same exit, and how we exit is up to you. And I was thinking about this, because you are spirit in an avatar, a light vehicle. It's your vehicle, the body, and you are light and source, creator, and you have free will. But we should perhaps, and I love this fit trail. This is really fun. I come here sometimes when it's not too hot, do the little exercises and move on to the next one. But very few people on this trail. Hello, good morning, and really friendly. Everyone around here. I just love this part of the world, and I'm so blessed to have this be my neighborhood. It's literally across the street from my house. Amazing. So back to it. We're given certain senses, which are part of the illusion, because really we see through, it's just so divine, the exquisiteness of this game that we're playing, to be able to go anywhere, do anything, have anything, but there's a perception of the world happening to you. And that's where people get tripped up. They believe, they don't see ahead of the cycle of your thoughts become things through the magnetic emotions that pull things together. We get programmed. We get stuck in these loopings that are given to us, both societal, familial, inherited, and above the genes, epigenetically. And it's a wild ride, because then we see that that's true, in reality. Your truth is your truth and it's true. But do you want it to be? Because then we have forgotten at that point that there's a resonance, hello, above, before the attraction. So this is where it gets really trippy really fast, because this is partially where innovation comes into play. I firmly believe, since we are in this game matrix, and that we can, think about it this way: nothing that exists wasn't thought of first. Like, look at this. It's a rope. What is a rope? Well, someone thought of that and then crafted it, and it became a thing. This part of the fence, the tool that was used to make it, the construction. This beautiful bench over here didn't spontaneously appear. Someone designed it, as did God designing all of the things. And it's interesting that we only have 5 ingredients: earth, air, fire, water, ether. And this gets into alchemy. You change the energy, you change the manifestation of the mass. So these inputs, we have 5 inputs. That's it. And if you think, oh, sure, Anahata, that can't be the case, can it? Well, all of the information you see on a computer is literally zeros and ones. That's it. And they've been able to program all the things you see. Hello. And so what do you think when God has a toolbox of infinite intelligence? What do you think he can create? Well, a lot of things, and guess what? We only see 1%. This is the 99 to 1 phenomenon that I often think about, where you're like, holy crap, all the color spectrums, all of the sound waves, we are seeing through a pinhole of actual existence. So we're given a very, very small, slim slivering of reality, right? And yet it's created everything we see: taste, touch, smell, feel. But those things are literally, you'd have to look up the bandwidth, but we don't see much of the color spectrum at all as humans. We don't hear much of the, so again, we're in these avatars that have rules. And so that's the point is, one, we know that we're in a game. It's called the game of life. It's called, you get to choose your own adventure, even when you think you don't. Everything is qualia, up for your own unique interpretation. You can choose to not choose, and that's still a choice. You can choose to feel things are happening to you, and that is, to me, consciousness. You can really get to the point where you're either fed up through a tower moment, you release through a tower moment, or you're fed up with circumstances before you decide, actually, no, I know I can do it. I love zooming in on these exquisite little pieces of the mapping of this game called reality. And here's a trippy thing before I forget. Have you ever thought about how your gaze, meaning your conscious awareness of something, is in part the reason why it has collapsed from infinite wave potential into particle form? This is a trippy thing to think about it, but it's absolutely true. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is there to witness it, does it make a sound? The answer is, what tree? It doesn't even exist without consciousness observing it. And this is proven through the slit, the quantum physics test, the slit. Why can't I think of the test where they blast photons of light through slits and measure it, and when you measure it, it goes into 2 columns. That's consistent with particle, but when it's just light, it creates a wave pattern, an interference pattern. So there's many, 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 many slits on the back. What that tells you is until something's observed in some way, consciousness, it's all just potential, which means we literally are a choose your own adventure. And now, of course, there's billions of conscious points of fractal source that are observing. So it's not like, yeah, you are the creator of your life and your story, but there's also billions of others, creating their stories. So we interweave. And here's what I want to share with you. This thought I had this morning was wild because it's spring break now, and so my daughter and I can sleep in, which is a rarity. Usually we're up at 5:45. So how nice not having an alarm and just waking up when we do. And so I'm just kind of stirring, and I'm in that in-between state of sleep and awakeness, of beta, coming into beta through this deep theta alpha state of relaxation. And I'm getting this like thought that's not a thought, it's just an experience of my soul being in my light vehicle. But not that. It is actually the other way around. It's your light vehicle is inside of your soul. Your soul extends out around you. This is the aura, but I mean beyond that, like your consciousness extends infinitely, but is brought into this grounded existence as you agreed to come in and experience life as a human. And so, but how cool to think of yourself as a body inside of a soul, not a soul trapped in a body, right? So in that way, you're spherical. You are infinite wave potential that you can orchestrate things to occur in harmonious affirmation of your intention ahead of the curve. So this is where we get into self-mastery and knowing thyself and removing the distortions that are telling you that you're separate from the all, because you aren't. That's just the illusion of this game, the game of life. And so you can start hacking the game of life. That's what I teach everyone to do in the flow state technique. It's peak performance, optimal experience. It's tapping into, and it's also not spiritual bypassing. I want to make sure everyone understands what that is. That's where it's like all rainbows and butterflies and nothing bad ever happens. Well, that's bullshit. Of course, it's how you respond to dukkha. Dukkha is wishing for something to be other than it is, and that's the source of all pain. So, this is where the Zen masters teach you radical acceptance of the all, including things that don't feel good and that are awful, is the path to end your suffering, right? This is Buddha at the Bodhi tree, and this is enlightenment. This is nirvana. Because, as I always say, when you reach this flow state, when you aren't in flow, you still can't have a bad day. Even when the shit's hitting the fan, dukkha happens, and it will happen. But it's your ability to mine the gold and pull forth from that the resilience you need to be able to see why things happen sooner. Because, looking back at all the worst moments of your life, you understand now why they happened and how it beautifully led to the perfection that is your life right now, and that it's always perfect even when it's imperfect. Like that is really, I think I'll go this way actually, as we're headed to the road, and I want to be on this little path with you a little longer as I explain this realization I had about your spirit being, your body, your vehicle being inside your expanded field. Okay, so when you feel in that way, you start commingling with things on a deeper level. like this tree. We can go right up to this tree and put our hands on it and mesh and intertwine. And I can give this tree wisdom and also receive. Most importantly, trees are just incredible. If you could see their mapping going down and curving around and reaching up and curving around, it's the tube torus, like every map in the universe, self-feeding mechanism, but bringing in the CO2, the carbon, the matter, the isness, and releasing oxygen potential. So it's a transmutation, but it's a prana tipper offer. That's why we have a whole category in the Anahatakos for trees, because they are such amazing, wise souls, sentient, pieces of this game of life. Hello. So let's keep going down the rabbit hole, because that wasn't just this is just the tip of the little iceberg, my friends. Yes, wild and wacky world of Anahata's remembrances, I guess. Look how beautiful this field is. Isn't it gorgeous? It's very rare to have open spaces like this in Florida, but the trees are coming back. I see a little bit here. Anyways, we'll meander over here and around and back because I got to go pick up my daughter. But it's important to realize that the rules we've been given are internal, external, and that boundary is just an illusion, right? What's happening external to you versus internal, and you can get into hermetic laws, as above, so below, as within, so without. But it's all just this clever you-ness disguised as separation. And when that field gets distorted, when you're off the map into fear and discord and all the dense vibrations, they're not wrong, they're not bad, they're not negative, they just don't feel good because they aren't true. It's the choice you're making to hold yourself apart from the answer, which is innately in the question. So I always say when you have a problem, ask for the answer. By asking, you're putting yourself in the vibrational bandwidth of the answer. When you align with that and you activate, I'm so glad I have my little microphone that's dampening the wind. It's really windy, but boy, is it a blessing. It's hot, but the wind is cool. And so senses, seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, feeling, as part of your experience is so limited and up to the eye of the beholder. But that eye is 0.01% of actuality, of totality. And so we are veiled in this matrix for the purpose of not having the answers to find them. So the purpose of life, if anyone asks, what's the point of life? That's the point. The point of life is life in meaning. So finding meaning. Meaning is the meaning of life. And that's what I mean by in the question, what is the meaning of life? It's meaning. That is the meaning of life, is to find meaning, to know thyself. And so it gets really interesting when you're on that quest of knowing thyself. You've been given all these cheat codes. All these cheat codes are here for you. Now, what are the cheat codes? Well, they're emotional cheat codes. There's mental cheat codes. There's physical cheat codes. And what do I mean by cheat codes? I mean, by coming back into contact with that thing, whatever it is, you remember your wholeness. Because all healing is a return to the memory of wholeness. How do I know? That's the root of the word. If you look up what is the root of the word healing, like it comes from various words and sounds that mean this is controlled burn, right? Everything must transmute eventually, whether you do so consciously in a controlled manner, or you let your shit get out of control and you have a tower moment. But everything, that's what the world's going through. It's like tower moment. Okay, guys, hello. This is not. We're on the outer edge of the distortion field. Let's bring it back in. Let's have some catastrophes happening and some things that seem so ridiculous that they couldn't possibly be. You got to dig deeper underneath the hood to figure out. Oh, all of this was just a script. And people were role playing, and now this elevated conscious awareness of it means that we can choose the pattern moving forward. And so Armageddon is such a blessing. Armageddon, this is the time we've been waiting for, coming out of the shadows through exposing the shadow. Rumi said the cracks are where the light gets in. And that's what it is. So let's go back to the cheat codes. My favorite cheat codes are the emotional and mental, because really thoughts become things, and the things you think about activate feelings, and those feelings trigger the magnetism, and then you experience a result of that through coherence, right? You always get what you're matched to. So there is no null. This is where people give the law of attraction a bad rap. They're like, well, I wouldn't have wished this. Well, it's not about what you want. It's about what you're vibrating. And so, where you dwell is what you're going to experience. And your truth becomes your truth. And then it gets confusing because you say, but see, this is real. I'm not making it up. No, you aren't. But at some point, you chose, either consciously or consciously, a resonance that was going to coordinate that into activation. And so it starts with meaning, and if you can use the cheat codes to your advantage by knowing thyself and observing the observer, and not attaching to your thoughts or feelings, because you are not your thoughts, you are not your feelings. Those are just passing through. That's just if I wrap this up. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned, because I want to introduce to you a new certification that is tandem with my water activation certification. So just follow me. Step 1. Step 2, maybe reach out and say yes, or put in the comments, yes, please. I am branching into using cheat codes in the form of color and sound. And I'm calling it hydro because you know me, I use water in all of my activations. Water, you are water, and we talked about the elements briefly in this conversation. But I'm calling it hydrosomatic, somatic meaning your interpretation within, right? And so hydrosomatic, cymatics. And cymatics is sound and how it influences matter. So hydrosomatic cymatics, and it's going to be part of an extended module that I'm offering, teaching you how to do all of this to help yourself and your clients, because you will get certified. All right, guys, I got to go because my daughter's calling me home. And thanks for being on the ranting with me in this Jurassic trail. Bye for now.